What if you told me you never loved me? You leaving? No bluffing. Taking everything you bought me, clothes to jewelry, and threatening to never come back. And anything you've ever said about always, I can forget that. I took you in and showed you love, so genuine. But you left me crying, heartbroken, feeling so hopeless. For you made me fall just to be a fool. Yeah, I was singing and praising, glad that I met you. In fact, you were so beautiful, I was trying to figure out how did I get you. Yo, I must have been good, yo, 'cause God had gave me an angel. And anything that you asked for, I made sure I got it. Gave you a pot to piss for your kisses. Rubbed me the right way, I granted your wishes. And any problem that you had, guaranteed that I would fix it. Yeah, I was on some real shit. That real shit you took for granted. Said you prayed for me, guess that makes you a praying mantis. Well, you got me, my dear, but did you know what to do with it? Had my heart in your pocket, but you put it in the back and sat on it. You should come with a warning, caution, heartless. Make your man wanna be a god, but shit switched up, and so I end up godless. Fool in progress, and still after all this, I love you. I took you and showed you love, so genuine. But you left me crying, heartbroken, feeling so hopeless. For you made me fall just to be a fool.
Bro Sanchez, just one who's out there in the fight to teach. Bro Sanchez, you got the story right, and now I see, yeah. Bro Sanchez. Sanchez.
Peace. Welcome back, everybody. Peace and much love. How y'all doing? We back in the house. Yo, I got my sister in the house with me by the name of Eclipse, as you can see by the thumbnail. And we about to blow y'all away. You know how we do it over here. Hit the like and share on your way in. We talking syncretism, sacred geometry, all that good stuff. I'm about to introduce the sister to y'all. I've spoken with her before. She has a very deep and open mind. You know, y'all already know this sister. She ain't new. You see her in the chat room. But we finna get it in. The sister goes by the name of Eclipse. And by the way, all of the music that you heard on the way in, that was this sister as well. And we talking fire, man. Like I told her, I was like, man, this is like going back in time right here. Like, I saw the chat room was loving it. Yeah, all of the vocals, the harmonizing, the bars. Yo, fire stuff, real talk, real hot. But we here today to give y'all a presentation that I'm very excited about checking out myself. So the name of today's title, and I'm going to present the presenter to y'all, is God Did Not Create Adam. And this is ancient cosmology. She finna come from her own perspective. So people, let me tip my hat and welcome my sister, Eclipse, our today's presenter, and let's do this thing. And we got a lot of stuff to go over. So soon as she, you know, whatever you want to say to the people, sister, if you want to greet them, you know, or whatever, and we'll hop into it. So. Salutes to all of y'all. So, oh yeah, salutes. Hey, welcome back. Matter of fact, I didn't even show love to all of my channel members. Salutes to y'all. You know who you are. I see y'all in the chat room. So, my sister Eclipse, we're going to go into some screen shares, and we're gonna hop into some concepts that's gonna be real dope today. But hold on, before you grab the mic too as well. I didn't read the layout for today. First we're gonna start with the intro, then we're gonna go into the Earth's cosmology. Drop a one if y'all can hear me good, by the way. Get that out the way. We're gonna start with the intro. Then we're gonna go into the Earth's cosmology. Then we're going into the alien invasion. That one's one of my favorite topics because people think it's a game. The blue beam stuff is real. I don't even think Starlink is physical. Me personally, people think I'm crazy for that, but I got a whole stream coming up about that. But let me go to the next bullet point, which is decoding the Greek alphabet. We're gonna start with that one, and then, you know, eventually we'll get into waves and blood types. We'll go into the mitochondrial DNA and talk about the atom and the supreme rhesus blood type, the RH. So shout out once again to our presenter today, Eclipse. And Eclipse, you just let me know where you want to go from here. If you want to just go on start right now, or that you wanted to give us some sort of intro to the people, it's all on you. Yeah, rest in peace, Bobby Hemmett. Can you hear me, my sister? I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, snap. Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, snap. My motherfucking... Yo, listen, check this out, Eclipse.
I didn't hear nothing you said.
You know what? You didn't hear nothing, but the people heard everything I was saying. I was just introducing you, and basically, I'll just go back over it real quick. It's all good. I was doing an introduction. I was
Gotcha.
just, yeah, I was letting them know that all of the music that they heard at the beginning of this, that was your
Oh,
creations. Yeah, and I was
yeah.
also, yeah,
You surprised me with that, man. I didn't know you was gonna play those two.
I love them too. The harmonizing and all that, and the people love them too. I'm gonna collab with this sister on some music, y'all, in the future. Be on the lookout for that. Salutes to this sister. She got. I'm gonna just go over my intro again because you didn't hear it, but they heard it. But they don't care to
Okay.
hear it again. Yeah. And I was just saying, I spoke with this sister before. This is a deep sister. They already know who you are if they come to all the streams because you be in the chat a lot. You don't really come up. And what
Right.
they don't know is I've spoken to you before behind the scenes. This sister's deep, y'all. Some people are already like, oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be fire. It is. The title, she came up with it. I'm going to read it again. God didn't create the atom. We finna go into some ancient cosmology, y'all, and we spelt atom, A-T-O-M, which is already make me get interested because you see what we doing there with that. So top of the line syncretism. The sister's a poet, artist, lecturer. I ain't gonna hold her back no more. Sister, I was basically letting them know that you're gonna be getting into. Well, basically, I read the bullet points for them. I'll go back over it. We're going to have an intro. We're going to start with the Greek alphabet, but we're going to be going into the Earth's cosmology, alien invasion. We're going to be decoding waves and blood types, the mitochondria, and the rhesus, RH blood type. Excuse the dogs. Y'all used to them. But yeah, salutes everybody and welcome back, man. I'm excited about this. And sister, if you want me to just go ahead and go into the screen shares and we can hop right into it, or if you got a little intro that you got for the people first, you can do that too. Salutes once again to my sister Eclipse. For sure.
I appreciate that, man. That was a very warm welcome. So I've been watching your show a couple of years before the pandemic, and I'm always listening. Like you said, I never come up because I'm very shy. I live like I was telling him before, I live about 80% of my life in silence. So you could consider me like a modern monk, so to speak. So being here on screen, online is a really big thing for me. So I appreciate him for giving me this opportunity. It's like a mission come true. Like my spirit is always telling me I need to break down my fears, which is what everybody is probably going through right now, breaking down fears to get to the truth. And I felt like the information that I have, it can help in a major way as long as you can grasp it. But like in my introduction, in the book that I'm writing, it's definitely not politically correct. It's going to hurt everybody's feelings. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you it's going to hurt everybody. So if you are sensitive, this might not be what you want to see. You need to see it, but it's like that. So I think it would be blasphemous for me not to share it. So with that being said, you can go into the chart, the Greek alphabet.
Make sure y'all hit the like and share button. We about to begin this presentation. Let me go ahead and here.
Also, shout outs to the chat. Thank you for having me.
For
For
sure.
paying attention. I
yeah.
brag about you all the time. Intelligent people. I love it. You don't get that every day.
That's love right there. Salutes to y'all. Once again, I second that. Can you see the screen share? I just wanted to get a little quick check for them.
Yes.
All right. For sure. Okay. So, yeah, you can go on ahead and start doing your thing. I think I'm going to take the overlay off. Yeah, you got it for sure.
All right. So part of me, I do think slow, But when I get there, I got it. And I might speak like Obama every now and again. So be patient with me, y'all. All right. So everybody knows that this is the Greek alphabet. And a lot of folks are aware that letter frequencies are used to invoke spells, hence the phrase spelling words. Now, I chose Greek, not because I think it's the oldest. It's definitely not the oldest. But it was the only alphabet or only language that actually had the formulas to each letter. And that gave me like a segue into trying to break down the concept of what each letter means. So that's what I did. And it took me 2 years. And there are some letters that are more complicated than others. And I'm going to mention some key ones, not all of them. That's a edition of books by itself, just to go through each one. All right. So some folk may already know that these letters are also symbols used to identify what science calls electromagnetic waves. But because of what I learned about them, I try not to teach them as electricity and magnetism. Instead, I mostly use the words energy instead of electricity, or sometimes force instead of magnetism. I do that to disassociate energy from being synonymous with electricity. Earth doesn't require electricity for any indigenous body nor natural event on the planet. But I'll get more into what electricity is later. So these are energies and forces. Right now, I want to get into what a wave is and the differences between an energy and a force. A wave is the event of a magnetic motion attracting energy or light. Does that make sense? Did you get that?
A wave is the energy of a magnetic motion attracting energy and light.
Yeah, it's an event. Like, it's not something you can see or touch.
Mm-hmm.
It's an event of magnetic motion attracting energy or light. And within Earth's shield, these waves translate into spheres in constant motion, whether it's through frequencies, elements, the mind, or the body. Waves are responsible for the manifestation of Earth and everything within its shield. So everybody already knows that that's what makes up everything on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes your spiritual and mental experiences. So as far as what a force is, folks may think of a force as a pushing event. That's because there's a magnetic wave, which I'm about to get into, that's invisible, and it's attracting the light. What we're not seeing is the vacuum that's pulling the light towards it. So there's work at play without us identifying a force. And by the way, this is what globalists are calling gravity. It's not gravity. This is what it is.
Okay.
So let's get into the depths of what a force really is. I'm going to have to start with one of the key waves that is responsible for our whole universe and directly the cause of the force. There's a letter in the Greek alphabet that represents this key wave. All right, now go to the other one. Of course, this is the letter M. The Greek pronunciation is mu. I'll get into decoding some of the other Greek letters as we go. Right now, I'll be describing the phenomenon that the letter mu represents. I want you to get used to identifying mu as a very fundamental wave of Earth's cosmology. Without mu, there is no natural phenomena of any sort. And know the relationships or concepts that come with the letter M when you see it used in a word. This is just me trying to get you used to learning what a spell actually is and how they use Greek to cast spells on people. And don't forget that Greek alphabet is, English language is the spin-off of Greek. So it actually showed me how to peep out the lies that they tell in English.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
all right. So, what
These
is
facts.
mu? At the core, mu are all of the things, all of these things all at once. It is a void or invisible. It's neutral. It's infinite. It's omnipotent. It's magnetic. It's feminine. It's intuitive. It's pH balance. It's a gateway. It's intel, and it is a force. So I'm going to attempt to bring all these interpretations together. Mu is a void or space filled with a fountain of invisible codes that make up our universe. It is within and without no thing and everything. Therefore, mu is limitless and can be expressed in many ways, or in this case, in many waves.
Mm.
You could say it's the mother of waves, hence the M used at the beginning of the word mom. Without the motion of mu waves, none of the other waves would exist. Mu is void or invisible. Although you can't see it, it makes up everything you can see. A lot of folks think that it's the sperm cell that carries the template for the genetics, but the male avatar gets his from his mother. The sperm cell is the energy ignition that brings the template to life. It carries the energy, the solar energy, while the egg cell carries this force. All right, hold on.
Get the likes and shares up, y'all. This is fire information for the people. Eclipse.
All right,
Joe.
it's like software and hardware. The egg cell is the software, and the sperm cell is the hardware. Think of an egg cell as a software. An egg cell is a space enclosed with genetic intel. Science uses diagrams of an unfertilized egg cell, but unless it's tainted, you won't be able to see a healthy egg cell unless it's fertilized by energy or light from the sperm cell. So it's invisible too. They don't talk about that.
Right.
Once the egg attracts the sperm cell towards it, the genetic codes inside the egg cell then becomes a frequency or a physical existence, and then it can be viewed through a microscope. But the origin of a mu wave cannot be sensed other than by intuition, which intuition can't be seen either, but you know that it exists as a natural phenomenon in your mind.
Yeah.
Hence the letter M at the beginning of the word mind.
Mm.
Mu, I know, right?
Yeah.
Mu is also directly associated with the Greek letter phi, or the F sound. I won't get into great detail about phi right now. Just know that the mu wave is a vacuum motion that induces the phi wave, and phi is the event of mu balancing or filtering the energy or light that enters its space. So basically, mu attracts the amount of energy it needs in order to exist or be expressed. And through phi waves, it prevents an overexertion of energy. Anything more than what it needs is an overexertion or phi imbalance, or as we know it as a pH imbalance. There's something I wanted to show, like if you could go to YouTube and look up
I got you.
Black Panther. It's a scene in Black Panther where there's like bombs going at the dome. And I want, it's like,
Yes. Okay. If you see it, let me know. I'm just going through it to see if it.
okay, go up.
Which Black Panther is it? Maybe that. Okay.
I think it's the one where America comes and tries to get inside the dome. And like all those little
I should
Monster
just
things.
put bombs scene. This may be it right here then. The Vienna explosion scene.
No, not that one.
Okay.
I think you could also find it in the one with Captain America and all of them. They were in a what's the name of that freaking movie? I love it. Uh, The Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
where they like, I think they're in New York
Let me
and
see
they don't.
something.
No, they're in
Avengers.
Black Panther. They're in Black Panther, and like all these bombs are coming at the dome.
Okay.
I should have looked this up before.
It's all good. We'll find it.
How about
Uh,
this?
the dome is like a clear. Okay.
Yeah.
This might be it. But I'm gonna have to
Either
just
way,
yeah.
when that dome that's covering over that area, um, when those bombs are coming at it, it shields too much. It shields radiation from coming in there.
Yeah.
And what you'll see is the electricity that it causes.
Yeah, I see what you say. I know what you're saying though. It's like a little force field.
Right,
Trying to
exactly.
pull it
That's
up.
exactly what it is.
I'm trying to pull up a better image of it without getting a copyright. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me do this. I should have been thought of this. Here it is. Let me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I should have been thought of that. There we go.
So you see like a hemisphere of it, right? Like a dome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when we're talking about the mu wave, that whole thing, it's a whole sphere, like it goes under
I
and
know it's.
around,
Yeah.
right? And then the earth is in the middle, right? And but the solar energy puts out positive energy, right? But the filter that is caused by this mu wave that I'm talking about, it stops the radiation from coming and it absorbs the just a right amount of energy in order for anyone in it or anything inside of it to be healthy. And just like an eyeball, what it's supposed to do is it's supposed to go around that dome and to the bottom and to the back and up the north node. Right. Like a an eyeball, it would be the retina. And the retina is considered to be the South Pole. Like they're lying about a South Pole being on land, and that's false.
Right.
There is no South Pole on land.
These are facts. Let me get this. I want to pull this up too. This is basically the flat Earth, though. If you flip it, upside down. But this
Right.
is what they showing
Yes.
on this right here. Because then where the explosion at would be like where your pupil is at.
Exactly.
And
Now,
go ahead.
now, as far as the pupil is concerned, like yeah, on Earth, that's what I call it the North Node. I don't call it the North Pole
Mm-hmm.
because it's something that they did to it to polarize it, and that's why they call it the North Pole.
Okay. Now that's interesting there because you're right, because the North Pole is, if you ever look at images of the Baphomet or the yin yang, it shows you a place where polarity is created. That's what we call the devil, like this god of the crossroads that created good and bad versus it was only good. You know what I'm saying? It split the
Right.
pathway into two, created
Right.
duality.
Right. So that's what's supposed to be happening. It's supposed to be that radiation is supposed to be going around. And if Go to the outline page with the numbers outlined on it.
All right.
This diagram right here, if you were looking at Earth from the outside in, this is what it would look like. And from the inside, what you would see with that mu wave uninterrupted, we would be seeing the auroras around the world.
Mm-hmm. One thing I wanted to point out, because I think this went over their head, right? When you was talking about this image right here, this is so deep, because if you look at, they always rubbing this into our faces, and it really take a big eye, advanced third eye to see this, because if you look at where they got the explosion at, anybody know that an explosion pattern is exactly what the eye is. If you look at like the iris, the pupil, if you think about an explosion, that's what our eyes are basically two vortexes that are is light going into a black hole, which is the pupil, and then the light gets turned into an image in the back of the mind that we call reality. And that image in the back of the mind is basically the city you see in the dome, because reality is inside, not outside. You know, I can really go deep with this, you know.
So I'm gonna freestyle from here then, with since you're going there with it. So that pattern in the eyeball, that's the natural, what science is called the Big Bang, right?
Yep.
That's a natural. What they're trying to do, or what they actually have done, actually, is create their own version, just like they do with everything else. Create their own version of that bang consistently, and this is how they're doing it. So I'm skipping over a whole lot of stuff. So if you have any questions, or if you see that anybody else has a good question, let me know.
I got you.
So the sun goes around, like you said, like a Christmas tree. It starts not at the bottom of the sphere, but right at the density in the middle, where Earth is, right? It circles, it starts down. Exactly. So at the bottom, that's where you got summer. And as it goes up to the top, you get more of a winter, because it's further away. And that's why it seems to have cold temperatures. And by the way, our original climate has nothing to do with freezing temperatures. That's been them the whole while. So what they did was, magnetism increases at cold temperatures and it decreases in warm temperatures. So what they did is they once they took over that airspace, because they needed that land to get that to take over the airspace to be able to do it. It started, like you said, in Egypt. Well, more like around the Mediterranean areas. Because they got banned, thrown out, and they had to go underground in Israel, and then they worked their way back up and got their foot in the door back in Egypt and took it over and made it into what we know of it today. That's where they start history at. But once they got that airspace around that North Node, they created cold temperatures, freezing temperatures around there, and ways that one of the most important ingredients that they need is carbon dioxide. If they can freeze that carbon dioxide, they can keep it cold. Earth naturally goes through the process of osmosis. Osmosis is from high to low temperature. I'm sorry, not temperature, high to low concentration. That just means that everything is balanced over the whole area, over the whole world. It's a balance. There's nothing being highly concentrated on. It's coming from the high concentration of the North Node outward. All right. And all of this space is neutral. That's neutral space. That's what I was going to mention while I was reading, that mu is a neutral entity. You can't sense it other than intuition. So because of that neutrality, everything inside of it is neutral, like a nucleus. That's what they got the word nucleus from, because it is a neutral entity, and Earth is a nucleus. So they created frozen temperatures in the middle to bring it from a low concentration back to a high concentration. That just means it's just focused on that part. The magnetic shield is now focused on just the cold part in the middle. So what that does, it opens up the gate. It opens up the rest of the world. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how they opened the shield. And then they created heat. They love fire. That's like one of their best weapons is fire, and creating carbon dioxide. And what they did was trapped it onto here, like they're still doing to this day, and created high temperatures. And that's the reason why you can only see the auroras at the north node. Because now, instead of covering the whole world, it's just at the north node. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. And then there are rumors about it expanding at some points in time and contracting.
Yeah.
It's
been doing that ever since. I've been watching it. I've been predicting it on my Facebook. I got like a little something on my Facebook. I'm always predicting it. Hey, you guys, this is happening. So look for the auroras. I have plenty of pictures.
A lot of people say that the Carrington event was when we first became electrical and the aurora borealis expanded, and it was like a reset then. That was crazy because it's it messes with the grid. Exactly. I think we due for another one soon. I don't know if it's in our lifetime, but
it's already happened. So once they got that shield just focused on the area, and they have to keep it frozen. They have to keep it frozen. So that means they're always going to be kicking up dust around the world. These wars, that war over there in the Mediterranean, they have to keep kicking up that dust, that war.
Yep.
They give us the narratives. But what's really going on is they're creating a chemistry to keep the polar ice frozen, that dry ice frozen. That's where the whole fight to climate change. Yeah. That's what they're doing. That's what they're fighting. Because once they open it up, now instead of the radiation being filtered out, now it directly comes onto the surface of Earth. And if you look up the geography of the world map, you will see where it's burned. And pay attention to which areas it burned. You can see in the geography. Am I talking too loud? I feel like
you fine. But when you talk about they gotta keep kicking up that dust, it's just so much I can say to that. But I'm gonna go to this map real quick, and so you can finish your spiel. This is deep right here. Let me see. Which one of these would be the best? Probably one of these.
Something like that one. It's, oh shoot, you can't see me pointing at it. It's the second one on the left. Right there, yeah. Try that.
Okay.
You had it. No, not that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one.
All right.
I got all this stuff on my phone, like I said, at time crunching.
All good. Let's see here.
Oh, they're not gonna.
Oh, okay, I got you. Oh, I can do it like this. Tripping. We can probably go with this one. That's a little blurred too. But
Whichever one is as real as you can get it, so people won't think it's a drone. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
yeah,
just.
I got you. I don't know why everybody is this one seems clear here. But when you open them they get a
No,
little blurred,
no.
but
Hold on.
yeah. That's because they want you to go to the website. Now this one is like too okay,
No,
hold
yeah,
on.
that don't show the geography.
Yeah, let
There's
me
that. There it is, right there. You were on it. Is that the
right here.
same one? Yeah,
Okay.
that
Okay,
one.
this one better here. High resolution. There we
So
go. Yep.
you see where the green is missing?
Uh-huh.
They continuously bomb those areas,
That's at the
or
top right here.
digging in it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, digging in it. I mean,
Yeah.
excavating, whatever. They continuously do this. Those
Yeah.
things that go across the sky every day,
Uh-huh.
those are not jets. I let me tell you, I have a telescope, and I decided that I was going to find out what these things are. So what I did, and it took a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, because what I did was I paid attention to the velocity, um, like try to predict where it's going to go, and kept the telescope there and waited for it to get to that point. That's a rocket. And I started researching rockets and found that rockets and missiles are built the same way. They're just used for two different reasons. One's used to launch satellites, and
Mm-hmm.
the other one's used to do exactly what it does when it hits land, when it compacts. Either way, they both have to land somewhere. Either way, they're both going to compact. Earth the same way.
Most
There was
definitely.
a I have pictures too,
Uh-huh.
in case anyone doesn't believe me, but there was a time where, well, every morning when I wake up, I keep a journal of the climate, like what's going on. Do I hear the birds chirping? What does the sky look like? Is it foggy? What's going on with the trees? Um, and I went to the grocery store, and on the way from the grocery store, I happened to look up in the sky like I do, and I saw something on fire going straight down. Now I was used to seeing them, go up or the arc, but I never seen one go straight down. So, I put on my glasses just to make sure. And I was like, oh my God, it's falling. And it was going towards the mountainous areas. So I took up my phone and I recorded it because I was like, nobody's going to believe me. So it didn't have fire coming out of the back, like smoke and fire. And I waited to hear something on the news about it. And I did not. But what I did was I looked up North Carolina wildfires.
Mm.
Was there anything going on? And sure enough, uh, it had that there was a recent wildfire in the mountains.
Mm.
And I took pictures of it was a day after. And for the next 2 days, I took pictures of the smoke. The clouds were coming from the east, but the smoke was going from west to east.
Yeah.
From the mountains. So I'm like, okay, I put two and two together. I was like, okay, I see what's going on here. And everywhere else that they're kicking up dust right now.
And
And they have to do that because once that radiation comes onto the surface, uh, they that they that's electricity as we know it. Electricity is a radiation, period. How we're using it.
And one thing I would interject to all this when you say they got to keep kicking that dust up, they said we made out of stardust, but I would say we're made out of stirred dust. When you talk about kicking the dust up, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
taking place at the North Pole, and that's what's creating the atmosphere. And for people that don't know how I'm tying this in with what she's saying, I'm going to just grab the mic and go into a little screen shares, and then I'm gonna throw the mic back to the sister. This image right here gives it all away, because if you look at this image right here, right, what this image is showing us is at the North Pole, there's an explosion of energy. And when it impacts the ground, it throws all of the atmosphere above us up in the sky above us. We basically living under a big mushroom cloud. And for people to
Yes.
understand, yeah, and we calling it the atmosphere, but I'm finna go real deep, because I don't think they really want to, they ain't really hearing what you're saying, sister. So I gotta shake them up, because you going very doggone deep, and I want to just put it in another way to help them see it too, because this is deep stuff. Like when she's showing you this image right here, this is very deep, because I never thought about this. This goes into let me go to this. Check this out. This one of my collages right here. They give us these doomsday prophecies, but it ain't the end of the world. It's the end of the world, meaning that when we go toward the middle, that's where the four corners and where the world literally end at. It ain't the end of the world like it's gonna be, oh, we dead. It's literally in the middle of the earth is where the Big Bang is taking place at right now. They telling us that the Big Bang is something that happened and is over, but the Big Bang is something that's happening all the
Yeah.
time.
Infinitely.
The universe is right. And so when we talk about, let me show them something too. Here is ancient cosmology right here at the bottom. This is from the ancient Syrah creation story. You see how they say that creation is an explosion. Just take a look at this image here. You got our real world at the North Pole, which is this little dome right here. That's the real base reality. But it's an explosion around that, which is the world we
Right.
live in right now. And if you look at this image right here and go back to what they showing you here, that's showing you that the North Pole is where the explode. Basically, we are a post-apocalyptic civilization. We are
Yeah.
a result of an ancient end of the world scenario, what they would call doomsday. It happened in Tartaria. The Tartarians got so advanced that they created this dome, this big explosion of energy around us. And let me say this and pass the mic back. When you up under this explosion, it's like, when you said nucleus mean neutral, because it's
Right.
in the center, it ain't left or right. And if you think
Right.
about the word nucleus, that's what's at the center of a cell. And when they talk about a nuclear explosion, it's literally they talking about what the Big Bang is. They can never recreate it. It'll take them with CERN to do it. But if you look at this, yeah, go ahead. You interjecting for sure.
That's exactly what they're doing. And what I mean by kicking up dust is,
Yeah.
I mean, they have to create massive amounts of carbon dioxide, and they like to do it near the ocean gyres, because all the ocean gyres fan towards the north node. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it fans the carbon dioxide, all the smoke that's going on around the world, the construction and all of that is to help keep that ice frozen. And it's melting now because we've entered a new age. And in this new age, everything is getting Earth is going through osmosis, and they're trying to create a reverse osmosis using that natural process of osmosis to do it. Like, it's going through a cleanse right now. And that means fresh air, that means fresh water, that means a boost of oxygen, which is what an eclipse is. Like, I mean, I hate to get off, but this is when you remember the April 8th, 2024 eclipse?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I was listening to you while I was watching it, and I was taking notes, and it took me 2 weeks to figure it out. I remember something you said that stood out, and you said it moved like an L shape.
Yeah.
And
That's
you were
what
trying
it
to figure
did.
out how it did that.
Mm-hmm.
So my theory that I came up with is, okay, so the sun is the output and an input. It has a light side and it has a dark side, which is, it has a mu. I mean, the whole thing is a mu, right? Neutral. Can't see it. A sphere.
Mm-hmm.
One side, it has the output. That's the side we see from the sun. The other side has an input. That's the dark side. That's the other side of the sun. Nothing's there. So what it was doing, instead of something going in front of it, it was turning, facing away and turning back around.
Mm. Trying to picture this in my head.
Like if you hold up a ball and one side is yellow and the other side is black.
Right.
And you twist that ball around, turn it and twist it around, you're going to see what I saw and what happened in the sky.
Yeah.
And I should have sent you these pictures because I was upset that my phone had like 9% left. And I was trying to listen to you and I was like, oh, my phone's about to die. And I had my glasses on and something told me to take them off. So I took them off and I looked, and what I was waiting on was those rockets. They said that they was going to shoot into it. And I saw one, and I got pictures of the rocket going into the hole, going into the eclipse, and nothing came out from the other side. It went into it. So I'm like, okay. So after I figured out, okay,
that's crazy right there.
my theory of output and input, what happened was they had to reset the air because the oxygen is coming in. It's cleaning itself. That eclipse, the earth is cleaning itself while this eclipse is happening. And in order for them to redisperse the radiation, they shot rockets into it so that when it turns back around, it outputs more radiation.
Mm-hmm. It's so crazy when you talk about radiation because it goes back to one thing I wanted to tie into. I think that when we look at the human body and the world around us, it all exists under this little dome right here, and that the human body is a result of the soul's mutation. Just like if we have a nuclear radiated environment, all of the animals that is born in that area ain't gonna look right. They, like if you're a frog in that area, the other natural frogs that ain't born under that radiation umbrella gonna say you ain't your true self. You're a fake version of a frog. You're a mutated version. And so every human is like a mutant. We up under this, basically this is radiation explosion that we call in the atmosphere. And it's basically like every soul that manifests up under this, in this, what we call the creation realm, it becomes a human, which is a mutated soul. So in this chart here, it shows that at the base reality, in the middle of this radiation field, there's a place that's non-radiated, and every soul born in the middle, they born as whatever the true version of what we look like.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
That's it. That's if the magnetic shield is there to shield that radiation and filter that radiation from coming in. But see, because they have opened the dome, so to speak, by keeping the North Node frozen. This is how I get into. Actually, we can go back to the Greek chart, and I can go into the waves and the blood types.
Okay.
Because this is what they did. When you talk about mutation, this is what they did. So, okay, so we know the blood types to be blood type A, B, or AB, or O, right? Now, when that magnetic shield used to be over Earth like it's supposed to be, and the inside of it was neutral, like I said, and they say that the electron is a negative charge. But what they mean by that is the electron is actually on the outside of the firmament, right, of the magnetic shield.
Yeah.
And when that, like I said, when that light hits that shield, that radiation is filtered. It doesn't go in there. That's a positive charge. This planet is made of neutral and negative charge, that it cancels out and it turns into a negative charge. So now the shield has a negative charge. The inside is neutral, and it's giving the solar energy of a negative charge, no positive charge. Positive charge is an alien to the planet. That's what I mean by aliens. And positive charge is not supposed to be in here. We don't need it. We think we need it by now because we use electricity so much. We associate it with, okay, that's what you need to create life. No, that's what you need to create electricity. In order to create life, you just need a negative charge. We're already neutral. So, I just lost my place, man.
It's cool. Everybody, it's cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So with that being said, all the blood types, whether it be A, B, or O, we're all indigenously negative blood types. The racist factor is an alien. You can inherit it by now. It's everywhere because they've done so much since then. So now with the radiation on the planet, they're able to create an atom. You see what I'm saying? But it did. It caused the ionosphere. The ionosphere is not indigenous either. The ionosphere is caused by the filter being weak, and it makes pockets in the field, in the shield, so that radiation can come directly through. And what scientists do is they use that. They apply the ions from that to create particles. People think particles are, a part of the world. It is now with radiation directly onto the surface. It is, but it wasn't before. It was just neutral and negative, no positive charge. So what they did was they took a strand of DNA, they synthesized it using this radiation that they had, and they made it parasitic. One of the bases, see, this is where visuals will probably help. One of the bases on the DNA, well, if you can pull up DNA and versus RNA, see if they could show both.
Got you. This is deep right here because it shows you the people who run the world, how it's in their DNA to be with the manifest destiny, the capitalism, all that.
Okay, so
I got another one too. You like this one? I got some more. Okay.
That's good. Am I losing everybody? Because I can't see the chat.
they dropping the fireballs. We deep. I'm tracking with you on this one. Yeah.
Okay, so DNA we get indigenously. We get one from the mother, one strand from the mother, one strand from the father. That's all we need. We don't need a tri-state. We don't need the third wheel.
Right.
With just two, everything manifests as it should. And that's on neutral and negative charge, right? RH negative, that just means you don't have the racist factor in your blood. So what they did was they took one of the strands from the mother, the mDNA, out of the mitochondria. And they need that because what they don't talk about much is the mitochondria is the molecule that you need. It determines the species that it's going to come out to be. And that's why they need it in order to keep replicating this nastiness.
Yeah.
So they took a strand from the mother and they synthesized one of the bases. They synthesized the thymine base. And the thymine base, it contains your biggest immune soldiers. So they synthesized it. And now it's no longer a thymine base, it's a uracil, which is, in translation, radiation. By the way, U is filtered energy, Uro is radiation, that positive charge. So once they synthesize the uracil, you can see RNA is basically spyware. It's a nanoparticle, a radioactive nanoparticle used as spyware to attach to the DNA. And that uracil attaches to one of the bases, the thymine. And what happens is it starts to drain the carbon, because RNA doesn't have carbon of its own. It's fake. It's fake. In fact, they got it from a woman who recently passed. Hence the X in the skull on their logo, piracy, because that's what they are, pirates. And so when it attaches to the DNA, it starts to drain the carbon. Now that could come out in many ways. It depends on what chromosome it went on. Like if it's on 22, 23, it's going to affect the eye. It's going to cause an epicanthal fold, which the Asians have. That's a mutation. So that's not an indigenous trait. That is a racist trait. They call it recessive.
That word racist sound like racist, and these are the people
It
we call the
is.
racists. That's crazy.
I'm saying it like that for a reason, though. I'm gonna get to that.
That's deep right there, yo.
I'm gonna get to that. So so once it attaches to that and it starts to drain, anything could happen depending on what chromosome it lands on. It could drain the carbon out of the skin, out of the pigment. That's where white people come from. I'm sorry if I'm stepping on any toes, but that's the research that I understand. It can, I mean, it could do anything. It depends on what chromosome it lands on. Then that's what it mutates. So when you were talking about the animals, they did it. They started with plants and animals, and the doing it to the human race. I don't even want to call us race, because that's where that word really comes from. The Rh positive factor, the racist factor. That's where it comes from. That's what it means to be racist versus a nigger.
Yeah.
Oh, can I say that word?
Well, for the algorithm, we not talking about Nigger. We talking about
No, we're
Naga.
not.
We saying Naga, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not really bothered by that word anymore, because it basically means exactly what it says. Like the indigenous, I'll say we used to call each other by our bloodline. That's where the whole Greek fraternity sorority thing came from. I know a lot of people say, oh, we got it from the Greeks. No, the Greeks got it from us. That's where our names came from. We named our family names based on our blood types, and our blood types depended on the area that blood type was manifested in during the Big Bang, or what they're calling the Big Bang.
That's crazy, because when I think about the Big Bang, now that you say that, it's like you got this one explosion, and then you got all of these rays of light, little lines coming from that one impact point, and like all of them lines could represent blood types coming from one creator, like one source, and then and then you can have blood types that the original blood types created synthetically, and it could go on and on and on to you.
Oh man, that's a whole story behind that. Go, if you can, go back to the Greek chart right quick, because I got off track.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
so talking about the blood types, alpha, beta, omega, and then we got the Rh positive, which is the P pronounced Rho.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes they use the letters together. So
that's right.
What they did was they implemented All of these are waves except for P rho. P rho is not a wave, it's a ray. It does not fit. We don't need it. But ever since they opened up the dome, they've been implementing it everywhere, along with the atom. What they did once that thing attacked. Okay, so the racist factor. I'm trying to figure out which one should I tell you first.
Mm-hmm.
Let's focus on P rho for a minute. We're going to talk about the radiation. So, okay, so this RNA thing, it is made from radiation and it gives off radiation and it's parasitic. So it drains and it makes people sick, right? They put the atom that they also created inside of the RNA. And just like they do with viruses today. And they inoculated the woman. And this is not even the strand the woman that they get the strand from. This is a concubine. Okay.
And that's kind of make me think about Mary's name in the original Hebrew. Is
that's where we're going with it. So they inoculated it inside of her. And so that it could reach her mitochondria, the mDNA that carries the species that is supposed to come, the human species, of that bloodline. And once, okay, I'm sorry, go to mitochondria structure.
I got
this is gonna blow your mind. It blew my mind when I came across it. I was like, what the?
Ooh, this is crazy.
Yeah, that one right there. You want that tan and blue one at the top left. Yeah.
I got you. It's this one here, I got you.
Yeah, that one right there. Now zoom in on that one right there. All right, so the nucleus is inside the matrix. The matrix is the environment. The intermembrane is the atmosphere. Now, the carbon walls that enclose all this sacred space is called, science calls it the Christe.
Yeah.
To invade this space is a christening. To invade a neutral space with a positive charge is a christening. You see what I'm going here?
I got you exactly. We going into the whole religious syncretism,
exactly.
Christ, and I'm with you on that for sure. This is deep right here. So if whenever I get the floor, I'm gonna interject. This gonna be crazy. You mind if I interject now? Or no, just continue. Keep your flow going. Yeah.
I wanted you to look something up right quick, and then you can.
I got you.
And then you can go.
Take your time. Yeah.
Look up Uraeus. URA.
Here it is, right here.
Uraeus is a serpent. That's the first RNA. That's what the Egyptians call it, Uraeus. The Greeks call it
deep.
Asclepius. We now call it RNA.
And Asclepius sound like asleep, like the people that ain't really, and they attacking the woke concept in so many spiritual ways. But that's crazy because this look just
attacking the neutrality.
Yeah, this look just like a RNA too. I never looked at it that way. Because here go the RNAs right here attaching to the DNA. This is just artwork.
And it's making it sick.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. And it showed like it said a God of the Bible sent serpents to make the people sick and ill. Man.
And you know what? Carbon dioxide, sugar, salt, stress. and electricity.
Mm-mm-mm.
It feeds it. It
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
feeds it. So they
Electricity,
yeah,
L.
yes.
God, L, yeah.
Yep. And like I said, it's pronounced euro and EU epsilon epsilon put together. Um, that is, like I said, filtered energy. But when you attach the rho onto it, now we're talking about radiation. Or if
Mm.
you want to go there, they made a whole colony of people named after it. Don't forget, they put the P on there too.
Who was that?
No, I mean, put it together. EU, rho, P,
Eurasians or Eurasians or
Europeans.
oh snap.
Europe ions. That's what
Europeans, that's
science
right.
is.
Uh-huh.
And the Zionists, by the way, I should have mentioned this before. Zionists are the first science organization. That's what like you said it one day, and I was
Mm-hmm.
like, exactly. Zionists is just the an ancient way of saying scientists.
This is so, and that's crazy. It is because even if you look at the Zionist agenda, if they want to debate that, these are the people that's turning the world into a big futuristic, technological,
Yeah,
transhuman type state. So yeah.
and they actually started with living things. That's a
Mm-hmm.
whole other story. So they started with they started with, guess what the first name of the first successful atom, guess what the label was, the name of it.
What was it?
Abram, or
Abraham.
Abro,
Wow, man.
as in alpha beta rho, as in AB positive.
This is just deep right here. That's how we get
Now,
Abraham. Okay, and abracadabra and man.
yep, and I'll put in a fun one.
Uh-huh.
So the you got your alphas, your alpha betas, and your omegas, right?
Right.
So your alphas, they started out alpha, but once they were integrated the atom into their families, they became Africans, as in alpha rho kappas. That just means A positive bodies. And then when they took over the betas became beta rhos. And if you say it in Greek, it's the same thing as federal, as in the federals. So the federals are B positives, the Africans are A positives, and the alpha betas are alpha rho betas, which is Arabs.
This is deep. And then what I'm doing, I'm just taking it all in and seeing where I can add with you and just back some of this up with the symbolism, because when you put this up right here with the
Mm-hmm.
mitochondria,
Yeah.
this really reminds me of this right here. I'm gonna see what your mind do with this. This like the Moses basket. See, and
Oh,
it make me think about when they was putting baby Moses in that basket. That was them, this new kind of human that they was
yes,
creating. Because the basket
yes,
now looks like the mitochondria,
yes.
the baby basket.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Exactly.
they call them
And it was an AB positive.
incubator. Yeah, incubator babies. Yeah.
And it was an AB positive. Now, another thing to know is there's a difference between a human and a mooman. They don't talk about the moomans. They talk about taking over the moomans, but they don't talk about the moomans. When the other day you was like, you believe that we're different, that people are different. You're exactly right. Um, the moomans live along the magnetic ley lines,
Hmm.
and the humans lived in the outskirts. And the moomans were known for their intellect because of the magnetism, the mu wave that I was talking about, the high
Yeah,
intellect.
I got you.
So uh, they kidnapped a you woman, right? And that's where they got the strand from. Then put it into another you woman, and now that it's no longer an indigenous body, it's a new species now with the positive.
Yeah.
Um, shoot, was I going that?
You killing this move because you talking about these babies,
Oh,
the mitochondria. Yeah, go ahead.
it's no longer a you, it's you-ish, which is another way of saying mankind.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what that is, and people really need to know what they're and I'm not calling everybody that's a positive that they're part of these, this elite group of people. No, they've colonized so many indigenous families that they need the indigenous body. It's like they need the seed in order to extract to make their pharmaceuticals.
The
They need
fetuses. Yeah.
right. They need the indigenous body in order to experience life. So it
That's
wasn't
deep.
until the Abrams or the children of the Abrams, the Abrams, like they like to think. I don't know why people. Anyway, those people, the children of Abram, which is just the AB positive RAM, they put that the memory into it as well. Um, they uh
Salutes to the chat room. Like and share the video.
they started integrating.
Mm-hmm.
They started integrating and going east and west. And then whenever they would take over a family, they would change the name because now, remember I said the names were based off the bloodline. But now
Yeah.
that the bloodline's been mutated, the names start changing, and they start putting P's and R's and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the betas turn into the federals, and the alphas turn into the afros, and the ABs turn into the Arabs, and oh yeah, and the Omex turn into the Omerogans. Like that's their way of
That's like
framing
American.
themselves. Right.
I'm a Rukin. I'm a rec. Yeah, I've heard that term too. She breaking this shit down. Though. Breaking this down. So many concepts coming to my mind with the sacred geometry. For sure, yeah. Go ahead.
So and what they would do is like they would form a society within society. It's the epitome of why human trafficking is a thing. That's what they did. They're not just being savages and doing being wild with rituals. They actually have a purpose for colonizing these people, not just making them their slaves. But they do think of them as their owners now that they've been tagged with that atom.
Mm.
And that's why they start history with the atom, because that's where
That's
they
where they
began.
start. And that
Exactly.
explains why Adam and Eve ain't that old, but there was already humans before them. Because they're the
Exactly.
incubator babies. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
This
Now,
is deep. Yeah.
the people that created them, they got like different names for it. Like the most popular one is Anunnaki.
Uh-huh.
From my understanding, Anunnaki just means basically what they did. They were a group of people who made new bodies,
Mm-hmm.
who created a new life. They were just a family of people. They weren't like these aliens that came out. No, they were indigenous black people.
Yeah.
And they were it came from because the world started out with just the Olmecs, from my understanding, as far back as I can go. The Olmecs, the alphas, and the betas. There wasn't even an alpha beta. But what the alphas and the betas ended up doing was conjoining and creating an organization to try to make a new species. They used to have these festivals, and the Olmecs always won because the Olmecs was just as their blood type says. They're the full system.
So that go when they talk about our ancestors in this American land was playing sports like
Yes,
basketball, and whoever won, it was
right,
like critical bets. Like this was like it was like could
right,
cost your life, land, all that. Yeah.
exactly. And get this, sports and entertainment wasn't even the biggest thing back then. Back then it was like world fairs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like what species can you create? You see what I'm saying? What can you bring? That's how animals and things, some of the animals and things came about.
Mm.
Um Now when the alphas and the betas got together and conjoined, and they finally got to the point where like, okay, um let's try something else. And
Yeah.
that's when we're talking about sins, like SYN. That's where that comes from.
Synthetic.
Not blending things that don't belong together.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blend that because it will degrade life in some way.
Yeah.
And the Olmecs were like,
Compatibility.
right. The Olmecs were like, they didn't want to have nothing to do with that. You know, just like in the movie The Black Panther, it was the other way around. It was the Americans, the Olmecs, who didn't want to have anything to do with this new stuff that they were doing over there, which we see it as normal now everywhere.
Yeah.
So they finally said, okay, we're gonna make a human, and we're gonna make this human an alpha beta. Now they succeeded at it, but it was still negative because they hadn't yet um opened up the shield yet. They were just doing like little ionic pockets, but not the whole shield. They hadn't taken over that land yet, the airspace yet. So they created the alpha beta nigga. And what happened is, and why the Olmecs said they shouldn't be doing that. What happened is now you have some type of a thing that didn't happen naturally with the Big Bang. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't happen naturally. You guys
Yeah.
bred this. You guys did
And,
this.
and that's why they don't want to tell nobody what was before the Big Bang, because they will have to
Exactly.
then admit that our world is a big island of Dr. Moreau experiment with mutant. We're like mutated
Exactly.
souls. Yeah.
Exactly. So, what happened was their bloodline, their immune systems canceled each other out. So, till this day, AB negative, they don't have an immune system. They have the ability to morph, but they don't have the immune system. What I mean by morph, I don't mean like sci-fi. I mean like, um, if you get a wound and your skin grows back. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by morph. So they have the ability to correct the issue, but they didn't have an immune system to fight out viruses and stuff.
Yeah.
So with that being said, it also altered their mental state. I'm not saying that, they were um, bad people. They just weren't as intelligent as the rest of um, the blood types because of that. Now, I'm not saying today that's the thing because all of us are mutts and messed up right now. But back then, that's how it was. And so when the fair came around, it was their turn. Like once they became a generation of people by
Mm-hmm.
themselves, that bloodline AB negatives, it was their turn. And what they did, they were the ones who opened up the shield, the Zionists. They were the ones who opened up the shield and started creating things
And
through using the ions instead of
and
nature.
the Bible's referred to opening of the shield as he who opening up the pits and the matrix. That's even in the Bible.
Yep, yep. And so they decided, okay, we already got A negative, a B negative, a O negative, and an AB negative. So what are we gonna do? What, how are we gonna change it? And so they came up with um the racist factor, creating a whole new type of mitochondria, a positively charged one. And of course, we all see what that did. It's what creates all sicknesses. And it also alters your mental state to a lower frequency than it would be. I'm glad you brought it to that, because those colors, maybe not in this order like in the picture, but because of those colors in the sky, those are the different waves, and they have different frequencies. And depending on where you lived under that, or where you were your blood type was created under that, that's where it was. And I wish I could show these images, but I have images of the world map, and I put where each blood type was created. I think I mentioned it already though. The O mix were O negatives.
And that's what I am. I'm O negative, yeah.
Well, we could be anything now. You are a rare breed. We could be anything now because of all the mixing.
You know what's crazy? We call them bloodlines. And what if the bloodlines come from the literal magnetic ley lines that I'm looking at here from the center? That's what you really saying. Like these lines that I'm looking at coming from the middle of this explosion are the original bloodlines that was created by the creator.
Yes, and we have a major gateway into the magnetic ley lines in the U.S. is Texas, California, New York, along the coast of Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina are some major ports.
This is crazy because it's just, I'm not like, when I go into like, people gonna say, well, my blood type, are you saying I'm this or that, I'm that? I'm gonna say take this deeper than just these are just this how I look at the blood types. I want to go beyond your blood type, and I say go, and if you don't like the blood type concept, then use astrology, use your sign in, because whatever the sky was like when you was born, that's gonna play a part. Like you got a blood type, but your characteristics are more your star combination anyway. So
to this day, it never changed. That never changed. They can't do anything about that except for warp the calendar.
Yeah.
But this is something that was done to everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It was done to at this point, it was done to every indigenous family across the world. And like I said, they started in they were mixing and mastering in Israel, got their weight up, took over Egypt, got their foot into Egypt because they got in through the bloodline. They got somebody sick. They got one of the queens sick and had a baby. And my theory is it was the father. It was the guy, because he was a Zionist. I'm going too specific. Anyway, the child that was born from that was Akhenaten. When you're talking about history, I mean, they got so many different stories. You can call them different names. Akhenaten was an RH positive.
He was the one that created he was like the tech god, Elon, Neuralink guy of his time. But yeah, go ahead, for sure.
Yes, his father was really into this whole, I mean, because it was a generational agenda, right? It didn't happen overnight. His father spent a lot of investment in creating this whole, in trying to create the atom in the first place, right? He took his own sperm cell, and which was, he was sick. He took his own sperm cell and used his wife as a concubine because she was quote unquote royal in the blood way, and had Akhenaten. And he was hidden, and they came and got him because for some reason the guy who was supposed to be ruling at the time, because the father had died, was unalived. So that's how Akhenaten got into there, and he wanted to carry on his father's legend. And so he was the one that got everything ripped off, like got all the tops ripped off and start changing things.
Cameras. Yeah, salutes everybody. Hit the like and share button as well. I'm gonna give y'all a rundown at some point too, and we tying all this together. The whole alien invasion concept that we see for number 3, she's explaining that through the fact that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, because when I look at this ancient cosmology, right, I'm taking some of what you're saying here and I'm bringing it to my concepts, and it's like Eden was the earth that existed before this big bang or this explosion. And the people that was allowed to create this explosion, they mutated everybody and everything up under it. Yes. And this is what we're calling the alien invasion right here. Right. Got you.
That atom bomb that you see right there, that was one of their ways of kicking up their dust. Right?
Right. And that's why they said
way of opening that's how they burn the hole in the American airspace.
Yep. And let me show you some ancient cosmology. Look at what the ancestors said, like how the earth was created from an explosion, and human bodies are the result of the soul up under nuclear fallout. And that has radiated the soul into what we call a human being. But so this is very deep when they said we made out of stardust, because they got to keep stirring up this dust at the center and kicking it up to keep this firmament down, to keep this simulation this Truman show going.
Because if that ice melts, what's going to happen? And here's a few things that's going to happen. We're going to start healing, because that limestone that ice sits on top of, it's supposed to heal us. That's why that whole train incident near the Great Lakes not a couple years ago.
Yes,
that was to dirty the waters, because the Great Lakes provide water across the whole world. Once that ice melts, it's going to be limestone water.
This is so deep.
It's going to be lime water, and it's supposed to cleanse your blood.
I agree. And it's like, I believe the Great Reset, they said every civilization that start waking up, it just end up some wipe them out. And what happens is a world war happened so that they can have a reason to set off this technology at the middle of the earth to keep throwing this dust back up there, keeping the veil over us.
Yeah, they're always going to have a reason to have war. They're always going to be wildfires. And especially now, because like I said, we just got a boost of oxygen in that eclipse. It was windy that whole week. We got a boost of oxygen, and they've been trying everything they can to keep the atmosphere dirty, like in the old space that we was in.
This is so crazy, because they keep spraying stuff up there. And I'm just say this too. Here is an artwork of Adam and Eve, and it shows you if what you're saying, and this is like saying that this is when the first spirits went into bodies they went under the veil, which is the devil. Yeah. And what's that old movie, sister, where it's an old classic child movie, it started getting dark over the thing, and like, is it with the flying white thing with the little boy on it? It get real dark and stuff. The never-ending story. And what happened is everything that the darkness go over, it turns into like this Sasha Fierce alternate version of itself. And that's what the creation represent. Like, we all up under this big, let me show, like this mushroom cloud, everything up under it, we kind of trapped from the true light, which is kind of making us like plants that ain't getting enough sunlight, you know?
Exactly. Well, actually, we're not getting enough lunar of the lunar force. They do it at night because the moon is where we get our mentality and our spirits from, right? like intellect, dreams, any concept that you can't see, right? And that's the lunar gateway, and the solar gateway is all of the what they call in physics.
Yeah. This is so crazy when you were saying how they put the RNA into the mitochondria
Yeah. The
earlier.
way they put they use the RNA to put the Rh positive, the rhesus factor
Uh,
in to load it off into your blood system so that it can reach. It's like a ship with cargo. And
yeah.
mRNA is like the drone that comes out of the car that comes out and goes directly into the cell.
That's crazy. Because it make me think of like these incubator babies when they show us like images like this with them putting the baby inside this little
Yeah.
tube. It make me
That's what
think of uh-huh.
the people who the elite who rule the world right now, I guarantee you they're all that bloodline is Rh positive, elite Rh positives, and
Yeah.
they're descendants of a test tube baby called Abram.
Mm-mm-mm.
They're
It's deep.
Abrams.
It's deep because you said that these people were created, they basically descendants of Adam from Edom when
Yes,
they first started making these synthetic beings. And what's
yes,
crazy about the word atom, when you said God didn't make the atom, you right, the demigod, the Yaldabaoth created the Adamites.
exactly.
And what's crazy, here go the atom right here, sister, just to back your work up. You know, they give us the atom, which is this. But the real
Yep,
atom is the symbol of their God right here. They showing you us
exactly.
basically where they come from.
And
Incubator
look at
babies. Yeah.
the rim fan.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're gonna see a lot of P's and R's when it comes to them. They're named after the pirates. They're named after it. They
Man, the pirate,
The
yeah.
Romans,
Prayer. Yeah.
the Romans.
Crazy. And they talk, so that's deep that you say about Aden Itten. Even if you say the word hidden, you know the H is silent. Hidden can be Eden or Eden because it's under the veil or whatever.
Yeah,
So I'm tracking with you on that. I'm gonna throw you the mic back. This is a deep one here.
yeah, that tripped me out. Pull up Blue Shield logo.
I got you. All right. Yeah, that serpent shield.
Blue Cross, Blue Shield.
Huh?
What'd you see?
It's just a lot with this one. Even the serpent, we already know that's like the whole
And the
concept
positive
of,
sign.
yeah, Jacob's ladder, all that. You got
Mhm.
Vitruvian man over there, which is like
You got
you. Yeah, go ahead.
you got your positive sign, you got your serpent, and you got your letter R, right?
Mm-hmm.
They love it. They put it everywhere. It's in every institution. It's in the religious institutions. It's definitely in the health institution. It's in the
Yeah.
entertainment business. Everything is BT. Everything is plus. BT plus,
Yeah.
plus, plus, plus. Everything is plus. And every movie you're going to see it.
Mm. So what I want to do now is I'm gonna just go back to your layout real quick and see where you want to, man, because we giving y'all a lot of good stuff. Everything you already touched on you've covered all this stuff for real. Just to summarize where we at now, and so we got a whole nother hour just for whatever additional stuff you want to do, or if you want to, maybe if you want to take some chat questions. We ain't gonna let people on, but we'll read what
Okay.
they.
I'll take some chat questions.
All right, so y'all can type y'all stuff out in the chat room. Matter of fact, type it out in all caps if you got the joint, so we can see it, and we'll start reading them. And I'll interrupt you with questions as you do your thing. You could continue.
Something you said something a while ago. It made me think about the atom. My gosh.
Oh yeah, we was talking about the atom right there. There we go. Rim fan. And you know what you was making me think about was when with these different types of humans, is that the most original humans is closer to the center, like germs in
Yes.
a petri dish. Like those
Yes.
original blood types, they expanded outward, made it together, and watered down, watered down, watered down as it went outward, outward, and then boom, yeah, I got what you saying. That's a dope way to look at it. I never like that's crazy.
So
Yeah,
to talk about the Olmecs, the reason why America was the land of milk and honey is because once they raided the AB negatives families, now you got sick people on the planet. And remember, I said AB negative, they don't have an immune system, right? I hope that doesn't offend anybody. That's just it is what it is. They did that. Get mad at them. So now that they don't have an immune system, and that's why they like to use that blood type AB for experimental use because they don't have anything to fight off the experiment. Um, so now that they got sick people, now they need to get into a new body, which is why they begin to integrate with other bloodlines because blood type A, I always get this mixed up. They either have, I think they have B immune soldiers, and that just basically means that it fights, their immune system fights off body ailments. And in the betas, they have A, what do you call them? They have A soldiers. So they can fight off mental illnesses. So if these AB positives, these Abrams, if they could get into a new body snatch a new body with an immune system, they can start fighting off these, you know what I'm saying? They can start
body
fighting off these
snatching.
illnesses. And the Olmecs, what's so special about our airspace is that we have a great amount of gamma waves, which is why the Black Americans are always setting the trend. Like everybody follows us. Like, look how big rap is today. Even though we don't own the rights to it, we did set the trends. I just don't see why we don't make nothing off of it though. It's just some heartache and pain and money. Um, but the Olmecs have both the A and the B. The O negatives, O negatives can fight off both physical and mental ailments. And their land was just like their blood. Like you can grow anything. There's a place in America where you can grow anything. It's hard now because they got so much red dirt and stuff covering over our fertile fields. But you can grow anything from Africa, anything from Europe, anything from anywhere else. You can grow it somewhere over here because of the gamma waves. And so because of that, and that also meant our vegetation was fertile, which means we had most of the medicine. And so they wanted to eventually, throughout generations, get their weight up after they take over these other blood types, have them as a militia in some type of way, and come over here and spread that. And then once they spread it, they could it watered down you know what I'm saying? And you start integrating with this blood type and that blood type, you can have children that is not necessarily going to be your blood type anymore. It's going to be another blood type. And if you go from O negative to having a baby that's A, B, because the person you was with was AB, then you're going to have increase the opportunity of having a baby that's not going to be O negative anymore. You see what I'm saying? And if you're not going to be O negative anymore, that means you decrease now you decrease your chances of having a fully loaded immune system. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just watering down. They came over and they watered us down, of course, through human trafficking, a small society within a society. And guess what? Emancipation is a part of the process. Because, like, okay, when I was watching Nature Boy, right? The
Hey,
reality of,
let me say one thing. When you say that sex trafficking, just spell it out
oh,
like that.
I'm sorry.
Sex trafficking. You
I'm
fine?
sorry.
Go ahead. Nature boy. Go ahead. Yeah, that clown.
The things that he was doing to those people is basically, it's like watching what happened in the past over and over again to people who were being held in cults like that. Um, and then it was a part of the process to take them out, back in the human trap camps. The process was to take them out of the field, out of their own culture, bring them in the house to learn the industrial lifestyle instead, and especially the woman, for her mitochondria, and not just for savagery, but the grape was a part of the process to implement these foreign matters, these particles into her bloodline. And it watered her down, but it put the baby in the family. So now they're in the family way. And they did this for a long time until the bad cop, good cop, the ones in the north were the good cops. And but they were working together, and the plan was, all right, we're gonna handle the government part, and we're gonna infiltrate our way in, just like NAACP does. Start asking for stuff like, hey, um, squatters need rights too. You know what I mean? Squatter needs civil rights too. So eventually the compassion of the Olmecs, who were in the chiefs and the chieftesses, certain families started having compassion and started giving them little by little rights. And once they got their foot in the door good, and they started promising those petty pirates down south that, okay, if you do this and if you do that, we'll promise you an estate. So eventually, they got into the estates as quote unquote masters. Um, and it was hidden in plain sight, just like they do today in the mansions, the trafficking. Like, it's right in your face, and you wouldn't think that would happen there because they're so wealthy or whatever.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So that's what they were doing in plain sight in the back. You can see it in that movie
Type yeah.
Antebellum with Janelle Monáe. They were taking those people and breeding them. And they would take the babies, from birth. They don't know anything else. So they taught them all they wanted them to know. So they don't know anything about the technology that was really going on. All they know is what was going on at this camp. We don't have any lights. We don't have any, this to that. When there was really stuff going on, like you pointed out, with the whole blimps and the Eiffel Tower. They didn't know anything about that. So by the time the government up north is infiltrated, they're like, okay, now it's time to emancipate these folks that's already been through the industrialization process and ready to be put into the industrial world to give it the boost that it gave. So, and that's how we got taken over. We got sick. Well, that's how everybody was taken over, but they had to get their weight up before they came over here. Because just like the immune system, we had the borders tight. In fact, because of what we were seeing going on, just like in the Black Panther movie, just because we were seeing what was going on over there, and we don't want nothing to do with that. But there were some traders, traders, who wanted to get in on the new order. So they started sneaking it in different ways. Next thing you know, it's a society within a society.
Yeah. So I'm
Were
trying
there
to
any
see if we
questions?
got any. Yeah, I'm looking through here now. when the Bible and ancient cultures talks about worshiping Yahweh or multiple gods, what do you think they're referring to in light of the discussion about Adam or Adam?
Uh, it's kind of like taking an original piece and twisting it a little bit. Like the multiple gods,
Yeah,
you could see that as how the moon provides our mental state, how the sun provides our physical state, how the earth provides our food, how the firmament provides us balance and guardianship. Those are considered, they could be considered as gods.
yeah,
You know, there was no one God over the other. There was just an appreciation in how nature creates us and takes care of us.
I agree with that. And just to even expound on that some more real quick, right? To the brother who asked that good question about worshiping many gods based on what the sister just said and what she laying down. Another way I thought about it to piggyback on what she's saying, to go with what she was saying about the bloodlines creating different types of people from this center beacon point going. Each line is a bloodline, and you can think
Mhm.
of that of each one being like a different religion. And a person may say, well, all of these different religions gonna lead back to the center truth when you decipher them. So people worshiping different gods or guides, these are like the guiding lights that lead back to the center, whether it's Buddha, Jesus, Allah. Each one come from a different blood type or frequency that come from the center. But the thing about worshiping a bunch of different guides or gods, it keeps you running in circles, going from line to line versus sticking
That's
with
true.
one guide and mastering it and going to the center, you know, because they say if you try to master them all, you master none, so to speak. I don't know if that, but syncretism is like when you master one, you master them all. But when you try to master them all, you really don't master none of them. That's crazy. But salutes to that question. I'm gonna read some more questions. That was about, and I'm gonna let the sister. And before I read the next question, let me show some love. Thank y'all for the super chats, Ripple man. Welcome to the channel membership, my brother Horizon Hope Harlow. Thank you so much for joining the channel.
I tell you what, that magnetic shield, it's been increasing because of that fresh air that we got.
Huh?
It's been strengthening. And anytime, just notice, anytime you see we have a geomagnetic storm or the sky is really cloudy and dirty, that's them trying to fight against nature. And the more, the harder the storm or the more clouds you see, just know that that's how hard nature is coming. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like if you're fighting a war, if you got to bring out the big guns, that means you're fighting something big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're getting sick.
For sure. And I do think that if we were to, people gonna think I'm crazy, but I think if we were to go to the North Pole, right, what we'll see is this huge amount of energy striking down at the ground. And because it's striking down at the ground so hard with the amount of energy of the Big Bang, which you can't comprehend, imagine how high up all of that dust gonna kick up, and that's what's creating the firmament dome. It's like when you make the 6-pointed star, you got a triangle pointing up, you got one pointed down. Based upon what's happening at the middle of the earth, you got this energy that's boom hitting the ground down, but it's kicking the atmosphere up, and that's keeping this whole earth just created.
Right.
Yeah.
And check this, it's not even a triangle up and a triangle down. It's only a triangle up and a triangle down because the dome is open. If the dome was not open, it would be it would form a full circle, like the eyeball. It'll go around the retina and
So
through the north node.
it's more like a dome up and a dome
Right.
down versus
Right.
I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. In one of my videos that in the song you played, I do have a triangle,
Mhm.
and it's like I go through phases of learning certain things. Like if I'm learning about the triangle, I'm probably wearing the triangle. If I'm learning, like right now, I have uh, a circle obsidian
Yeah.
shaped like an O, because that's what I'm learning about now. And I'm hoping I'm making sense, because it's like, the nerves, they're all over the place, not knowing if I hit the points. That's why I like the questions.
Let me go to another one. And people are loving this too. Appreciate y'all. The next question: do you think AI is copying you, and do you feel you are capable of superhuman abilities? Good stuff.
I think human abilities are super. Anyway, I don't think that
Mm,
you know what I mean? I think that it's like having a phone that could do a whole lot of stuff, but you don't know how to use it. So you just do this and you just do that. You just text and call on it. Like
mm.
we have a lot of abilities that we always were born with, but we just don't use it.
Dang, that
And,
was a
and
dope
if and
answer.
if that ice melts, we'll get to see we'll get to see more of that.
Yeah.
And the
Uh,
mounds
yeah.
will come alive. Like the mounds will do what it do. Like we can have light. What everybody don't know is like, okay, if what if the electricity goes off? Well, when that ice melts, the electricity is going to be shut off because it's radiation. It's not supposed to be here. But what's going to happen is the mounds are going to do what they naturally do, and it's going to disperse natural light without the radiation. We can still have light. We can still have higher technology. Science is watered down nature. Come on. I mean, a
Yeah.
robot compared to a human, what's that?
That's crazy. And to people don't know, the sister is a poet. See, from one poet to the next, you can always know when you're dealing with a poet, because we be poetic when we talking regular. Like when the brother asks, you know, do you feel we capable of being superhuman? That's poetry right there. The sister said humans are super. And that breakdown was dope right there. I gotta drop a bomb for that. Yeah,
No matter what your blood type
yeah,
is,
yeah.
humans are super. Like all of us, no matter what color you are, no matter what mutation you may have from that integration, you are still an indigenous body.
Yeah.
You're just from your area. And the Black Americans are from this area. And we are descendants of the Onegas, the Olmecs. So,
So it's
um,
it's crazy what you was saying about the negative types and how the root
mhm,
word of negative is like naga or naga
mhm,
or something like
mhm.
that. But that's like a reach though. But I forgot to bring that up. But yeah, that was a mic drop about humans are super and we just ain't activated all the perks that we got the best iPhone on the market. But we just like you said, we texting and calling on it. That's it. Talking about I
That's
wonder
it.
if we can get upgraded. Like you got
Right.
all the upgrade. Yeah.
You have telekinesis. Look, when you, especially Christians, when you're saying, God told me or Jesus told me, what you're doing is you're making up the name that they gave you. You can name it whatever you want to name it, but it's telekinesis is what it is. It's
Yeah.
telling you what to do, like involuntarily and voluntarily. Involuntarily, your heart beats. You don't have to think about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your spirit is telling your body what to do. Um, voluntary, um, you can think of something. You can dream. I mean, all types of abilities. You can astral travel. I do these things,
That's
you
facts.
know.
Yeah. You know, let me say, I got a question for you too before I go back to theirs. When you said about astral travel, I done it once before. I told my story. It's something I never forget. It's something that wanted me to see the other side, but I never been able to do it again because the first time I did it, I was scared. They remember it. But I've talked to people like astral traveling is one thing, but lucid dreaming is another, because astral traveling is when I was out my body, I knew I was out my body. I knew what
Right.
I was trying to do from the jump. But lucid dreaming is I was just in a dream and realized in
Hmm.
the middle of the dream, oh, I'm dreaming, but I didn't wake
Yeah.
up. Now, I lucid dreamed a whole bunch of times, but I only astral projected once. My question is, I've met so many people, not only have they not astral projected, they think I'm lying about lucid dreaming. They think that really, that's pseudo. Are there people? It amazes me. We take a lot of stuff from granted. What do you think about the people who just never lucid dream? And they don't even dream every night either. To just be black and you wake up. What's up with that versus what we used to be?
I think that a lot of people don't even really realize that they are lucid dreaming when they
Mm.
are lucid dreaming. So they don't really know what to call it. You know, that's
Uh,
one. Um, and I think that once you acknowledge that you are lucid dreaming, if you're deep with it, you want to be able to astral travel at that point. Now you want to somewhat control your dream, like be able to not just sit there as an observer,
yeah,
but actually be able to, oh, I want to go here, or I want to go there. You can
that's the
even do
next step.
things like go and visit other spirits, and they will know. That has happened to me. I had a
Hmm.
dream about somebody, and I'm not gonna lie, it was an awkward dream. And then 2 days later, I saw this person, and they were acting funny.
That's
And I was like, I guarantee you, I bet
Yo, I've
you
done
had
that. I've done that, but man. Or how about
that.
you dream about somebody and next thing you know, like they unfriended you or some, or like stuff like it's like it be crazy how these different realities be playing out on
But
both. Yeah.
I've had
Dang, man.
I had 3 people pull me into their dream. And I know
That's
it wasn't my
crazy.
dream. I was in somebody else's dream.
Oh, bro, that'll be a crazy movie too. Based on we know this is real science too. Yeah, yo. That's man. Yo, let me I had to drop a bomb for that. Let me read y'all super chats, man. Oh, you can't even hear the bombs I'm dropping. Let me cut the audio
Nah,
on your end. You can hear the effects now. But let me give a shout out to uh Fela B in Australia. They get all information from the Aboriginals. Man. But
oh, I'm glad you said that. I'm
yep.
glad you said that word. Okay, this is one I know it's gonna hurt a lot of feelings.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so
Uh-oh.
like I said, every word is not just a word. I mean, it actually has
It's a
uh, a
frequency.
wave behind
Yeah.
it, right? A frequency.
Uh-huh.
Be careful. I mean, you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. But
Yep.
when you start talking about legitimate papers, I really wanted to contact Dane Calloway for this
Tell the
very
truth.
reason. I think this be careful with that word, because what that word is, you might as well call yourself an American, because or a Native American, because
Yeah.
it's got all the bloodlines in it. It's ab o re gene. It's mutts, basically, is what that word means.
Because it's like that Abraham, going back to that Abrahamic frequency in faith. Dang, man. Because even the word ab is without. You know what I'm saying? So we say, and it's crazy how, what you think about this, and I'm going to read some more of theirs and read some more super chats, because this is deep right here. I say, well, we use these words. Everybody agreed to call us black aboriginal. What's the use of? Because I'd be like, look, I'm gonna just say the word because everybody know what I'm talking about. This is a spiritual warfare, because we really got to now start to change our lexicon, because if we do want to deal with these words on frequency and stuff, just think about it. Atom is the root word of etymology. And you talking about how all of the alphabets come from the singularity at the center. You know what I'm saying? it's deep how the people that's manipulating all the bloodlines, manipulating all the musical frequencies, the
Yep.
words, all that. Like, you really open up a can of worms today with this. This is some deep stuff. Yeah.
The main thing I wanted to get out there is that whole the Uranus Asclepius RNA
Yeah.
thing, and the atom not being an indigenous molecule. It's not even a molecule; it's a particle. All particles are um, foreign. All particles. They say it's waves and particles. No, it's just supposed to be waves. Particles are a disturbance of waves.
Mm.
It's not supposed to be here. It's going to be here as long as that shield is open.
You know why that's so deep? Because all throughout my research about science and physics, it's always a war between particles and waves. Is it a particle? Is it a wave? Is it a... And the truth is, now that I'm hearing you, it's like to say, are you an angel or a devil? You can be any one of them, based on how you mutating and stuff, who you... It's crazy right here. Because when you say that the particles are all foreign, and the only thing that exists in this ocean naturally is waves, so to speak. And then
That's it.
all of the objects in there is like stuff they throwing in from outside.
Yep.
Like that's
Yep.
that's
Exactly.
crazy. Yeah.
Yep. While the alpha beta niggas, what they created the Abrams, the alpha beta rows, the AB positives. The AB positives, when it came their turn, that's when they started getting into the robots. That's when they started getting into the AI. They did the humans before they did the AI, before they did the robots, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. And if you go, and it was deep, if you read the Bible, when it keep tracing these different mutations through generations of Christian fathers, like Noah was a whole nother different prototype of this, another. And you know what's deep about what you're saying? How you put that map up and talked about how the middle of it was burnt around. If you look at when you drop the germ in the middle of a petri dish, once it expands to a certain point, it start to mutate as it go outward.
Exactly. And that's immigration.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason we didn't immigrate. We visited, but we didn't, especially the Olmecs, they didn't need to immigrate anywhere. They had everything.
Why would
It
you
was
leave
an
Eden?
animal.
Yeah.
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 You know, people were dying to get over here, and now the doors are open. Right now, we got the Ukrainians coming into the northeast. We got the Asians coming into the west. We got more Hispanics coming in through the south, which has Asian molecular history, and I think we got some Africans coming in, but they're doing the same thing over and over again. They just did the reset. I mean, all of it at one time. They're doing the reset because they're fighting a natural phenomenon that's happening right now. We're living in the days of, I call the book Rebel of Zion, because it is basically their reset time. They have to do it to fight against us healing and getting out. You know, as you can see over the past few years, more and more people are waking up. That's by nature's design. We're getting that fresh air and that fresh water that well, not so much fresh water these days, but that fresh air, whenever we do get fresh air, it's giving us clarity. And and there's levels to it. Like for us is the subjects like we're talking about. For other people that are not on those subjects, it's like, why am I working for somebody? Why can't I just work for myself? You see what I'm saying? A lot of that is going on across the world. So they had to reset and push forward their agenda real hard, throwing everything in the kitchen sink at us.
And then another thing too is like the sky. Some people call it the sky canopy, but the firmament. When they say that this is the handiwork of God, it hit different now because it's more like the handiwork of this demigod, Yahweh, of keeping the veil over us.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. Because
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nah, that's who Yakub is, another form of Yahweh too. They talking about he created the white race. He created the human body before we was when we was even have bodies. If you want to go in, go ahead. You know,
Yakub.
well, that's
There's a lot.
Islam. Yeah,
There's a lot of truth to that story.
yeah,
I mean, you know how they do.
yeah,
Some truth, some exaggerated. Some people got big imaginations.
yeah.
You
And
know.
that's the story, that island of Dr. Moreau. Before the movie, you had the Islamic story of Yakub. That's to me where they get that movie
Right,
from. Yeah.
right. Um, but with you were talking about something the other day, and it made me think of what's going on right now. And I was predicting, I was like, watch, we're going to have a lot of electricity problems, and they're going to blame it on each other. Like, okay, it's some type of war between each other.
Yeah.
They're going to create a narrative to not let us know that they are actually warring at something bigger than them. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Um, so with the plane crashes, I like your theory because I didn't think of that. But I was also thinking about the possibility that it's nature fighting, cutting
Mhm.
off that electricity. Like when they had the whole thing about, I think it was like a year or two ago, where the airports just went blank.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
cooking now.
that's the first thing. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
You cooking. You know what? You know why you cooking? You remember before the planes was falling out the sky, you just had flocks of birds falling out the sky. And
Yeah.
then you had places on the earth where things were falling up instead of down. And when I researched it, they said some called gravity pockets. Now, when we talk about this electromagnetic field that they
Yeah.
created, if you think about what you're saying, if there's holes and cracks in this dome, then if
Hmm.
you fly through it, your your stuff gonna go out. You dead. Your equipment gonna
Right.
mess up like the Bermuda Triangle.
Exactly.
And the more
Exactly.
this dome fall down, the electric signal gonna get. It's gonna
Right.
the world system gonna crash. The sky falling, but it ain't gonna be like the sky falling. It's like this electric field
Right.
is
Right.
falling, and we gotta go back to our Eden ways, go back to being, and they can't do that, which is why they trying to rebuild it right now, and they gotta keep
Right.
rebuilding it every time
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
The thing that's going on in California right now is a big part of that. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in order for them to, can I say the D word, DEATH?
Unalive,
Can I
yeah,
say that?
you got it for sure.
That it was, what his name? You talk about him a lot. Tesla.
Yeah,
Tesla
yeah,
created that beam thing, right? And
yeah,
if they try to make it seem like, back then they try to make it seem like, oh, it's not going to work because you need an ample amount of solar energy, which is radiation, right? And we already had that, but they wanted to steal it from them, which they did eventually.
they did.
And in order for it to work, they're right, you have to have an ample amount of radiation. And so that dust, that dirt that they kicking up over there in California is creating a whole massive amount of carbon dioxide,
Mm,
which is fighting against the shield. Meaning, and California and Texas, like I said, has two of the biggest magnetic ports. That's why they like to light up the show around these areas, because they
yeah.
have these big magnetic ports underground, within the ley lines. And because of that, it's the hardest. So they have to kick up the most in these areas. They have to do damage and pollute the skies in these specific areas, along with dropping missiles near the ocean gyres so they can fan the smoke towards the North Node.
You know what's so deep about what you saying? There was a god I researched. His name was Vulcan. And this was a volcano god where we get volcano, but he also controlled the weather. And when I was researching, I was researching how back in the day, ancient geoengineering and weather modification was to basically burn some in one area, and you know where the wind currents go. If it's going to your enemy, that's an atmospheric highway, like sending them a. And you know what's crazy? They got the fires in Cali and the floods on the East Coast. It's like, how do we know that this ain't all connected? But it's just a thought that I was thinking about.
Yeah,
You know, that's crazy.
They have to create these pressure wands across the, when you're watching news, the Weather Channel, and they got those red and blue things going across. They have to create those in order to get the temperatures that they want, which is why the East Coast got that dirty snow that we got. I don't know how it was on the West Coast, but we got snow over here, and it was nasty.
Yeah.
And they're trying so hard, and the calendar is so outdated. It was coming out of the transition of the old calendar since 2012, and now we're in a new calendar. And you can tell because I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, maybe, where it started getting darker, like later and later and later. Yeah. Like over here in North Carolina, I'm used to it getting dark at least by 8 o'clock at the latest. It started getting dark at 9:30 at one point because of the changes of, I don't know if it's the positions of things or the movement of things, but things are changing because we're transitioning into a new space.
This is facts. And as we're changing as spiritual beings, the archons are changing technologically. Everything is changing right now because the dome is like we under this big dome. And every couple of so many years, it's fading away like a mushroom cloud. And as it gets weaker, everything got to upgrade themselves up under this thing.
Right.
And if as this thing slowly collapse back and fade away, you gotta keep rebuilding things because everything is based upon the dome being there. All this matrix, this whole world, and the moment it fall down, we gonna see what Eden really is and what we really are, which is why everybody now, as this thing collapsing in, we got to hurry up and rebuild everything because the dome getting weaker. But eventually they know that they can't just keep fighting the dome and getting more technological, which is why I think ultimately everything get resetted with this big explosion. And they tell the next generation after that recreation that the universe started with a big bang. And basically every generation is a post-world apocalypse where they destroy one world.
Right.
Keep telling
Go to another geographical map of just the USA.
Got you.
And when you say the dome come crashing down, the firmament is a natural dome. That saves us from the radiation. The ionosphere is the dome you're talking about. They replace the firmament with a false dome. That's the dome you're talking about, and that's called the ionosphere. And they use the ions in it in order to apply science, because that's what the word science comes from. Ions.
Yep. Dang, Scion.
So you see California over there on the West Coast, where you at?
Yeah.
That's where they bombed it before the Asians came through.
This is facts, and it's all brown too. And it's crazy, like when you look at the world from this angle, it does look like something cataclysmic happened on this whole left side, man.
It did. Yes, it did. And it was called, just like it is now, dark magic. And they call it dark magic because, one, they kept that information to themselves. Once they took over indigenous family, they took over their cultures. And their culture was basically how to take care of your area, your body, your blood type. That's why all of them are similar but different, because they're based on different bloodlines.
And that's what I was typing in the chat, that to this theory about, because I think that we just left a world war back with Tartaria. and that the way that the earth look right now with all the maps is this ain't what the earth looked like. It's a result of what it looked like post-apocalyptic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And
that
so
is,
when
yeah,
people, when Pan Africans like to do that, oh, you know, we from Africa because somebody came to me, and I mean,
talk
no
about them.
blood, no, you know, no blood loss or nothing like that, but it was just a disagreement where she said Africa, you know, Africa is the oldest because the oldest volcano is, you know, how they like to throw numbers, 1,000,000 years old. So, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, a volcano is not a natural geography. A volcano is a result of someone making like you said, basically tearing it up.
You
You
know
know, like
what?
a wound in the skin.
People wouldn't know the difference between man-made or natural volcanoes today if I showed them. But yeah, go ahead. You got it.
Yeah, that they're not those caverns and stuff. It's not indigenous. That's somebody did that, altering um the energies.
And then you think about this, now that I'm looking at this, it's like I always wondered, why does you got this Grand Canyon that's only limited to the western part of the U.S.? Would it run all the way through? They talk about the San Andreas fault lines. Like America, when you think about the western part, it's more elevated than So think about what this map's showing us. If you look at the western part of the United States, right? When
Those
you're
used to be tall trees.
and
Trees made of
but the
different
crazy,
elements. I'm
yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
no, I'm a land right here. When you traveling from east to west, you're raising in elevation.
Mm-hmm.
People and your ears will start popping once you start going through Arkansas, like New Mexico, all that, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like we're sitting on top of a bunch of piles of dust that we call in the desert on the west, and it
Mm-hmm.
elevated the landscape. So if you look at this map, I would say that everything was green and lowland like the East
Yes.
Coast, and something happened that kicked up a lot of dust and created these mountains and all this on the west that elevated us to where you see what I'm saying? This is, you
Yeah,
got me thinking
that's
here.
what I believe. When as I was started, you know, learning things, I mean, decoding Greek really took me far. Really took me far. Um so it led me to looking at this, and it told
Mm-mm-mm.
a whole story by itself. Like, okay, you're right. The Olmec heads, that is not an indigenous Olmec. That is an Olmec who were bred um in these camps on the West Coast. They did the same thing on the West Coast they did to the East Coast, except it was the Asians who took that over. The Europeans took over the East Coast, and they did the exact same. It's like, we're not the exact same thing, because the Europeans, they were kind of charming with it. As you can see, the Asians, they weren't playing.
Mm,
They
mm.
weren't playing. And like
It's
Dan Calloway said, they became the no names and took over um the identities of the Olmec families.
because when I look at the Olmec statues, I got other resources from what's the brother name? He did a I keep forgetting his name. I smoke too much, but he did the Asiatic black man Sambo, the god of Asia, and he basically tied into the whole Asiatic Naga, because the word Naga or Nigger, that's an Asian word. And when you trace that word back to its origins, it goes back to a place they just found not too long ago, buried in the jungle, the Khmer Empire. Is and these are a black civilization, in my opinion, that
Mhm.
was way more advanced than the Egyptians. And they had a technological electric grid, Angkor Wat, man. And it was basically a all like red skin, brown skin empire full of tech gurus. They call them the serpent people, the Naga, and all that. And the knowledge of the Naga, eventually later the Germans ended up with it. They called themselves the Nazis, but the Nazi is just a play on the word Nazi or Nazi.
Mhm.
Nazi. That was the people who had the knowledge of the universe and all that Operation Paperclip technology, the stuff they about to bring back today. But that's interesting. I just say it's so much sources out there other than what they taught us in school that nobody should be regurgitating that
Nobody.
stuff. Yeah.
And I'll take it even further back and say, when you call out these different family names, uh, or these different bloodlines, and I'm hearing certain letters implemented into the bloodlines, it lets me know that what they did was they took an original culture and they appropriated it and then warped it into whatever they're telling, however they're telling it today. You see what I'm saying? Like,
And that's why all of them bloodlines come from Adam, Noah, Abraham, all them, and
yeah,
it's going into. You go ahead. I'm
that's,
with you. Mm-hmm.
it's the only story that they're telling.
Yeah.
It's the only story. It don't matter what institution. They took care of the college, the universities a long time ago.
It's
And in
crazy,
fact, the
man.
miseducation started in the universities, and then um, and they started out as remedial at the human counts. They were
Mm-hmm.
working together. One was overground, one is underground.
And I think the underground came before the overground.
Oh yeah, they didn't like I said, it wasn't until they emancipated those people that were already well groomed. Like I said, emancipation is a part of the process of colonization. That's just like, okay, we're ready. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let them loose and let them spread whatever we spread to them. That's what I was saying about the whole nature boy thing. Like, as compassionate people, we wanted them gone out of there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we wanted him to leave those girls alone or those girls to leave. But in actuality, it's more to that. You see what I'm saying? Once they
Yeah.
leave and out in the population, back into society, what's happening from there? Are we being careful, all of us, including them? Is everybody being careful?
I just
You
want
know,
to say salutes to this because the sister dropped some jewels. And one thing I'm going to share too in the midst of the bloodline concept, King David is like another staple of this Merovingian bloodline. But if you look at his star, to me now, this translates to how all of the bloodlines of Adam are reproducing around the world. And I'll show you what I mean because, and you can spit on this too. It start from these original bloodlines that start to create more lesser bloodlines, even with the archons. And the lesser bloodlines are slaves to the higher
mm-hmm,
bloodlines.
mm-hmm.
It's like a spiritual hierarchy. And this represents the original bloodlines traveling around the earth, keeping all of it woven together, the entire family together as one basically big tree here. You want to talk about that? Because this was you made me think of this when you went into the
Yeah,
bloodlines with this, yeah, with
even
Adam.
because they all had different molecular systems. You know, um, they all had different cultures, but yeah, they had to
That's crazy.
act as one in order to keep the whole system clean and healthy. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
At per usual at the time. Um, and that's where you get your organizations now who are the replica of that, except as for artificial intelligence, is your NATO's, your WHO organizations. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's what the indigenous people did, but it was not for not to boost artificial intelligence, though it was just to make sure that everybody's good.
He said they had different molecular structures. And the crazy thing about the word molecular is going into that god Moloch. And the star of Moloch is another. If you look at that golden calf, if you look at the seal that's on his chest, he's saying this is the father of all the Abrahamic faiths. Basically, all these bloodlines they was born from the father, which is Yakub or science incubator babies, and not from a real, because I don't think everybody walking around come from out of the womb of a woman. I think
No.
I think some of these people like Jesus and Mary, they were
Mhm.
like a science incubator, like, yeah, like you were saying. That's what and I'm just
That's
doubling down. Yeah, you got it.
that's how they all started, and it was hard in the beginning of busting in through the indigenous bloodlines because number one, the women weren't for that, so they had to kidnap them and grape, you know what I mean, and
Yeah,
use as concubines. Um, it was it was it was twisted and turned as they went about, as they took over and appropriated. And this right here, when you say the father, it and the name, what do you call it? Mullah,
yeah, Mala.
Moloch. See, with
Yeah,
that M present, that tells me that it's supposed to be a feminine entity. It's supposed to be a feminine divine.
that's right.
They used it as the father because it was they had mother issues.
There you
I
go.
mean,
And
if you're an IVF baby, that might be an issue.
let me piggyback because you spot on once again. The original matriarchal form before Moloch, here's a version of it right here. The Masons call her the Queen of Heaven. And you can see how
Hmm.
she's splitting her dress with her arms open is
Yeah.
what Moloch is doing. Yeah.
Take it back and look
Yeah.
at it again and tell me what it looks like in whole. Look at that.
It looked like her giving birth to all of the incubator babies, and she was the
Right.
one they was inseminating. That's facts. Come on now,
And
y'all.
look at the sun. Look at the sun directly straight through with the
Because
clouds.
this is a dope way to look at it, because I've been telling them Jesus was a humanoid and they think I'm tripping. They
No,
think it,
Jesus. The word Jesus
yeah.
means Jewish. I'm trying
Yeah.
not to say the word.
Oh, I know what you mean. Yahuwah,
It's the
you, I
same
would
thing.
shot. Yeah.
And,
Mhm.
and I told you what Jewish means. It's mankind.
Yeah.
It's no
Exactly.
longer. It's no longer you.
Yep. It's you-ish, something like you.
Right.
It's kind of like, yeah,
Yeah. Kind of like.
you wish you was human, like you wish.
And I'm speaking about the elite, by the way. I'm not talking about
Yeah, we
your
know it.
regular people.
Right. The
You know,
archons, for sure.
right? And you look the name archons, pirates, and everything that
Yeah.
they deal with, prescriptions, just name it. It's in there. They even implemented the letter into the Greek language, which used to be geek.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. This is so crazy. It remind me of Jesus. The crowd was following Jesus with the white robe on, and they said that they was tugging at Jesus's dress bottom like they doing this. And Jesus had his arms open, standing on top of the mountain like she doing with the sky open. And this goes
Mhm.
back to what you were saying about it was matriarchal before, even before Christ, even before Moloch. It predates the patriarchal concept.
Right.
Period. Yeah.
And it wasn't even about the woman ruled over the man. There was no
Right.
such a thing. You know what I'm saying? It was like everybody knew their nature, and so it was easy to play their parts. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, fast forward to the day, the woman being in the kitchen. Yeah, it's in the woman's nature to nurture, right? It is. The kitchen is her lab, you know. But in back then, we didn't have to be in the kitchen all day because we weren't sick like that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. It's so crazy that they say Jesus represent the healer, sister, and the people that tugged on his coattail, they was healed.
Mm-hmm.
And to go back to what you saying, these archons don't die
Taking
like
over
us.
bodies.
Right.
Yeah,
The
and they take
archons,
over bodies.
there you go. And because they go back to the North Pole to Jesus to get reset and healed into another body. And he said, I'm gonna make all things new again. So if I was one of
Mm-hmm.
the if I was like a humanoid at the end of my little humanoid life, they beam your consciousness back to the demigod at the North Pole. He make you new again and put you in another body and back on
Exactly.
Earth. But that ain't what we want to do. That's what they
Right.
want to do. It's
Right.
a trap for us. Yeah.
Right. And they like to try out different molecular systems, aka blood types, especially the omics. Because if you can get into an omic body, you can fight against all the diseases. You know what I mean? You can live longer. If you can get into the omic land, you can get all the medicine. If you can get to the omic airspace, you can get everything we got right now in the industrial world because of the gamma waves in it. Like, think of, okay, if you throw a rock in a glass, right? In the middle, you got the biggest impact. And then you got these branches of cracks. That would be the magnetic ley line. The rock in the middle,
Yep.
that would be your north node. The cracks would be the ley lines. And the bigger the crack, the more the gamma waves. And America has that big crack.
Yep. And just to let them see what you talking about, sister, you know, man, we on the same page with this information. So, you know, if I ain't got you right, stop me and let me know. But here is just to show them another way. So here's the AE map. And then if you look at the AE map and you cut the tree open, like she was saying, you'll see you got these concentric circles, this ripple effect starting at the center. And at the center, that's where the seed was dropped in the ground at. That's and then you got the cracks and for your aging, just like the magnetic ley line stuff. I got you. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
And go back to the tree with the cracks in it.
Uh-huh.
That big crack right there, that's America. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's America. And that's why the Americans set the trends. That's why the Americans are the ones to be at the Olympics. That's why the Americans are you know what I'm saying? The ones to bet on in sports, period. Entertainment. The stars, mostly. I mean, because they're trying to change it now. They're trying to give Europe all the praise now.
Let me ask you a question, right? You know, in a football game, when you got all of them people sitting in the stands and they do the wave, and they make them all participate. Now watch this. I'm gonna ask you something. You see in this radar screen, just like the flat Earth, you got this line that's kind of roping around, swinging around, and whatever it touches, it scans. And when you just said that crack on the tree was America, it's to say that each country gonna have a time at some point over an age. It's America time now because it's like this energy at the North Pole that's swinging around, and when it hits your land, y'all are the ones setting the influence, leading everything and stuff like
and
that.
guess where it came in through? It came in through Texas this time. Because I was
crazy.
like, why are they so interested in Texas? I mean, but then I figured it out and I looked at the magnetic ley lines and I looked and saw it was the biggest port in the USA. Austin,
That's
Texas.
crazy. And that's crazy because this radar map, just like the Earth we own, it's got all of these ley lines, but when the middle poles swing over yours, it makes yours thicker and more pronounced, like this crack the sister pointing at.
Exactly.
Right.
And go back to that green radar. Let me show you something. Something funny. Look in the middle of it. What's that?
The cross.
It's the atom.
Exactly. Facts. Yeah. This is facts. And so at this time, the radar line is in America at this point in the unit. It's swinging slow on a cosmic scale. And so it's at America now, which is why our US dollar is ruling the world. Everything based upon where if America fall, everything gonna fall. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why they wanted to get over here so bad. And once they got over here, they became the quote unquote leaders of the free world. America's always been the leader. Like the ones that make,
crazy.
you know, where the grandmamas, the great, well, I hate to say the word great, but the grandmothers who made sure the rest of the world, you know, was good. Like, okay, you know, like the women used to congress at the capitals with the dome on it. They used to congress and get in sync, their menstrual in sync, and
Mm,
meditate and talk in conference about
yep,
what they came up with, and then go back and tell the men, so the men could do something about it. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
They're the enforcers.
You know what? Man, you gonna have a controversial show in the future. We gonna get smoked. We gonna get smoked, right? The title gonna be Who's More Fit to Rule the World? Women or men? Because
Oh no.
we gotta do that one. Cause look, even though I'm a man, I'm gonna tell you now, right now, men just gonna say, bro, let's fight about it. Let's shoot about it. All that. Women created politics when you think about it. They sit around and we call it gossip. They know everything going on in the community. They got, you
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? That's what the
It's a
world,
low
what you
frequency
want.
version at this point.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, the women have been, and that's why they had to target the women like that,
Right.
you know,
Right.
because
Right.
in my opinion, I believe politics was a women thing. Because if you think about it, what do men say all the time? I don't do no talking. I ain't finna
Yeah,
do
it
no
was.
talking, bro. Right?
It was, and it's the way, and it's because of the avatars, how avatars are built. I mentioned it earlier, I think, when we were talking.
Yeah,
For the woman, her output is at the top. Her input is at the bottom, which means at the top you're going to have your out, your chest, you know, and it includes the mental aspect. Now, at the bottom, it's like a battery, except it's not supposed to be no positive charge. At the top, it's supposed to be negative charge, which is solar energy at work, filtered energy. And at the bottom, it's supposed to be neutral. You got your innies. And for the men, it's the other way around. At the top, you got your input. You learn from your mother. And
yeah,
at the bottom, you have your output where the place, and your feet, meaning you're the enforcer. You go and she makes the law, you enforce the law. If you don't like her laws, then you don't court her. You see what I'm saying?
yeah. That's facts. And then in the system like that, there will be no need for a man to kind of subject the woman to his will and his rules and stuff like that too.
Exactly. They both have to choose wisely. Like
Yeah.
she, according to what I'm reading and getting from my spirit, um, she she actually, she's supposed to be the one with the land, and that's because we had land. It wasn't no thing. You see what I'm saying? She's the one that's supposed to have the land that can sprout the goods. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Basically, she's supposed to have the money. She's supposed to already have the money in the family. He's supposed to choose, and well, she chooses by like what then they knew their bloodlines and their abilities. What type of children do I want to have? You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking at. That's what she's looking at when choosing a man. Um, what else? Is he a good father?
Mm,
You know, what
man.
can he not? She got the table, but what can he do at the table? You see what I'm saying?
Can,
Can he build on that? Can he take care of that?
yeah.
Because I don't have the body to keep it up. You see what I'm saying? All this independent woman and doing everything a man can do,
Yeah.
that's not indigenous. That's not
And
indigenous.
it make me, because what you going into is compatibility goes into like how we date today. Just because I'm gonna get with her or I'm gonna get with him and it be some physical, he 6 foot or she got a big behind. But to
Uh-huh.
me, before we was in a root chakra dating on physicality, we probably was on some spiritual astrological stuff like
Yeah,
what's your frequency with they frequency,
right.
y'all gonna make some god indigo children type crap, like some,
Exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. They were
Yeah,
thinking about legacies.
yeah.
He chose wisely as well. Like he wasn't thinking, I mean, it ain't like today we're all mutated. I shouldn't say that word. What's a better word?
It's true though, but it's the hard, cold truth.
We've
Yeah,
all been modified. You see what I'm
GMO.
saying? So
Yeah,
it's not when we weren't sick. I mean, it was pick and choose, a fish everywhere. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't about I got to have that one. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody had range, and you get to choose how you want your legacy to be. And does she have the law that I want my children to go by, that I want my legacy to be? You know?
Mm.
Yeah, it would. We were not doing what we
That's
doing
right.
today.
It's crazy because it makes so much sense because the mitochondrial DNA, which is a scientific word, we can use whatever word we want. Let's put the influencing gene that the woman has in creating an influence in a family tree, right?
Right,
So the
right.
whole thing would be the whole concept of a family tree is matriarchal in nature. When they say cunt and tree country, you know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? Dealing with a
Mm-hmm.
nationality. The family crest was the uterus of the woman, like it was into a crest or whatever, the family crest. But the whole thing I was saying is like last names when you marry being from the woman. It's so crazy that a woman's biology, her DNA, a man can get with a woman just because of how she look. And he would say, but I don't like her personality. So what he does, he try to make her into the kind of woman he want
Yeah,
personally to
right.
fit. And the thing is, it goes against her genetics, biology, her DNA. And that's what's
Mm-hmm.
going on with the Christian patriarch, with how we mate as men and women, with the men being at the head. Because really, a man can make that woman be the way he want her to be, but when he have babies with her and she have a daughter, all of the traits that woman hiding will come out in that daughter because it's in her DNA. And
More
that's why
likely,
you should get with a woman that's compatible with you from the get-go.
but I get it. We didn't come with the instruction books like we were supposed to.
Oh man, I'm telling. But and it,
Legacies have been burned down
yeah.
and taken over, and oh my God.
Mm-hmm. It didn't come with the instruction books like fusing energy, man and woman. But if you look at the people in power and the way they make, you know that they made on a different, or they
Yeah,
got something else. They say, well, they practice in, family. Maybe it's some deeper than that but we know it's deeper than just, oh, he fine, she fine. They made like an advanced spiritual society or some types. They're how they
what
mating each other. Yeah.
who are you talking about? The elite
The
or the indigenous?
celebrities, the archons, and
Oh,
all that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. They're thinking about legacies.
Yeah.
We thinking about, that next one.
They probably looking at the person's star sign and all that while telling us it's
Yeah,
pseudo.
yeah, exactly. They know about it. Um, but they don't have it. You see what I'm saying? They know
Yeah.
about it, but they don't have it. So they study us. And they went to town when they got over here. I mean, all of a sudden you got all this you got the TV and you got all the mental um media.
Distract. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. And
So
that and you can't have none of this stuff without the electric grid. Like every time the world system about to crash, they make us help them rebuild it by scaring us like
exactly.
we're all gonna die. When really
Yeah,
it's just them that's gonna go.
right. Right. Fight the climate.
Yeah.
They want you to get behind that. Get behind the fighting against nature. Because
Yep.
if you don't, then they're the one that's going to be carried out here with
Yeah.
ease. And it's already happening because they don't talk about it. Like we don't. Some of us might not address it think about it that way because they don't talk about it on the mainstream media. But they're fighting a big battle. They're really at war. Like we're like sitting ducks down here, but they're fighting against God right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
And
easy. As you
man,
can see,
listen,
like I said,
yes
the
they
bigger the
are.
cloud, the bigger the war.
Yes, they are.
You
They
ever get that
fighting
feeling like
against God. Yeah, go ahead, my bad.
you ever get that feeling where one day you don't feel good, you feel sluggish, and maybe 2 days later you're like, what? It just
Mm-hmm.
went away just like that,
Yeah.
you know? And then you get ideas from nowhere, like, where did that idea? And it's a really good idea, you know?
This is so
That's
deep.
happening right now. And they're
They
fighting
fight.
against that.
Yeah. They fighting against us seeing the true light what's behind this veil. And it goes back to your statement. They got to kick up more dust at the end of every reset to keep this canopy up, because like vampires that's up under the shade, if this thing open up and it removes, the true light of the other side gonna smoke them away like vampires in the sun. Gonna make them vanish, yeah.
So next time we start to see massive phone issues, internet issues, even if it's just like in a certain area, and then, or if you're seeing the auroras in the sky, that's God. That's God telling them, no, it doesn't belong here.
Yeah.
So it's probably one of the reasons why I really wanted to get that out, is because it's really a good idea if we really started thinking about going back to nature and weaning ourselves out of this electric world that we
That's
live
right.
in, because it really is Saturn worship. Electricity comes from, like, the way that they made the AB positive, the Abram people. They had to wait for, like I said, everything is forces and energy. They had to wait for a specific time of the year to do it. And it had to be when certain planets were in conjunct with Earth, and Saturn was one of them. Saturn was one of them. They had to wait for Saturn to be in conjunct with the Earth because it has the most radiation.
Yeah.
And it was like they used it as an amplifier of energy,
Mm-hmm.
along with the shield being gone. And that's how they created a living being, a living you-ish being.
And you know, I want to just back you up. These archons are like ancient artificial intelligent beings. They're very electrical. They like disturbances in the ether, radiation, static, electrical fields. The thing is, the universe is like this ocean. But let's say that, put it this way. The reason the archons like electric fields is the same reason fish like water. But
Right.
the water dried up. So now these fish are creating little puddles, a network of puddles that could stay. And Earth is one of those puddles that the archons is harvesting for this big electric bubble. Yes.
And they thrive better on the low frequency because
Yeah.
just like by now, all of us have these some radioactive nanoparticles inside our bloodstream. And it drains your energy in whatever molecular system chromosome it attached to. And so that shows up in physical, that shows up in behavior, that shows up in personality issues. So let the ice melt.
Yeah.
Don't fight the climate change.
I keep telling them, because I was asked, it's written in all of these books, the truth, because it even tell the Christians that when God come back and destroy the earth, that's going to be the end of Satan. So if the people in the power telling us, let's rebuild the earth, let's go against whatever these forces are that's trying to end the world systems, we helping the archons survive another 7,000 to 26,000 years.
Exactly. We're in a new age, so they're like, they just reset, and they're trying to make sure they stick around, and they're fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
They're fighting for their legacy. We entertained. So yeah, I'm hoping, because when I get up and I'm feeling bad, I'm looking at the world like I can't do this by myself. We all got to get in on it somehow or some way. Click up with someone who is on that journey and get in where you fit in. As you could probably tell, I'm not used to being online and speaking to strangers. But I had to get up in here and I had to do it no matter, what the results may be. At least I did what I was told to do, what my spirit told me to do.
You sure enough came with some stuff today. And I know you got to get out of here, but I can really keep going with this because this is just some deep stuff, you know. But it just make me think like with those tree rings and you said let the ice melt, you know. The whole thing with it make me think about the flood concept with Noah and how like if the ice melt, people will have to go to the highlands like the monks do. Because you can only live up there if you're breathing right. And the archon, that's above the electric grid. So it'll only be a few lands that you can still live to, and it can't really be inhabited by low level as you creatures because the electric field get weaker the higher up you go.
Exactly.
And it's like as we go to the middle of the earth, we're rising in elevation. So it's less archons and more gods. Yeah.
So just know a geomagnetic storm is a fight between man's mess and God's plan.
Yep. That's it. That's
I
it.
smile. When I see the colors in the sky where I'm at, I'm like, yeah. As promised, right?
Mm-hmm.
The rainbows in the sky.
For sure.
You know. So, but yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna get off here and like, oh, I forgot to say this and I forgot to say that.
We're gonna make this a regular thing, you know. We're gonna keep the collaborations going. If you forgot some, write it down so in the next one we can pick this a continuing class right here.
Okay.
For real.
I do want to say I don't have an online presence other than my YouTube music page. I'm not interested in fame or none of that. I do believe in past lives, and I shouldn't say believe because I know some of my past lives. I was famous in one of my past lives, and it didn't go out well. In fact, every past life I was famous for something, and it didn't go well. So in this life, I promised myself that I would try to do it another way.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
And becoming a monk came natural to me. I was a mute for a year when I was younger, but as I got older and started getting more spiritual around the age of 36, I got more and more back to my nature from the beginning.
That's what's up, Bill. This is awesome. We enjoyed you. We can't wait to do it again. You know my number, and we out. You know, y'all rewind this. Make sure y'all share this with everybody because we really went into a lot of deep stuff for real, like advanced stuff. So we'll be back to dive more on this, but until next time, I'm going to let this sister go. Peace and much love.